Okay, I'm going to make this one as quick and direct as possible. Now is the best time to get into Monster Hunter. Definitely. Monster Hunter Wilds comes out in just a few days at the time of this recording, and the release of a new Monster Hunter game is always the best time to get into Monster Hunter. I always see videos that are like, is it too late to get into Monster Hunter, et cetera, et cetera. People post about it on the internet all the time. If you've ever been interested, now is the time. The reason for that, first and foremost, is community. The experience of playing Monster Hunter with other people is one of the best experiences you can have playing a multiplayer video game, I think. And you know, I'm speaking from experience when I say that, as somebody who picked up the first Monster Hunter on PS2 and didn't understand it literally at all and then put it down. But in the back of my head, I was like, ugh, there's something about this that's really compelling to me. And then when Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate came out on the Wii U, I played through pretty much all of that game totally solo. And, you know, you can have a solo experience playing Monster Hunter. It's not undoable. It's not unheard of. But, you know, after having that experience and then jumping into the 3DS entries, knowing more people in my life who were playing Monster Hunter and who were fans of Monster Hunter and had been for a long time, the experience of playing those 3DS games with them, second to none. Like, just an unreal fun time. And then I think Monster Hunter World, which is, I guess, technically like the prequel to Monster Hunter Wilds in some ways, really opened the door to, I think, a lot of new Monster Hunter fans. I had a lot of people coming out of the woodwork saying, I've always been interested in this franchise, but, you know, I never knew if I could get into it. I always heard it was really difficult. Is now the time? And I said, absolutely, pick it up, join me, we'll go out into the world, and we'll have a great time. And we did. And that was doubly true of Monster Hunter Rise when that first launched on the Switch before it got ported elsewhere. So many people were getting into Monster Hunter Rise, and I think that game coming out during quarantine and during the pandemic specifically almost had like an Animal Crossing New Horizons, like right game, right time approach, where that place, that town that you spend most of your time in Monster Hunter Rise, like, was kind of a second home for me and a lot of my friends. And we had a group chat and we would text each other all the time, be like, hey, who's in for a hunt? And I think this is one of the most important things about Monster Hunter. The experience of playing Monster Hunter with friends is basically a hangout session. You know, it's the reason people play MMOs and hang out with their guilds. It's the reason I played, you know, literally 2,000 hours of Destiny and Destiny 2. It's a hangout game. You're there to like just chill with your friends, and the gameplay loop of it definitely is rewarding and is fun, and you should be doing it, and you will have a good time doing it and learning all the different weapons and crafting new stuff, new armor, new weapons. All of that is really great, but the game kind of serves as a way for you and your friends to kind of just like mess around in a really beautiful town, in a really beautiful place, and hang out with a bunch of like very happy NPCs who are always stoked to see you and think you're the best person who's ever lived. And then you spend some time prepping and goofing off and talking about whatever, shooting the shit over voice chat, and then you go out into the world and you try and fight a big monster and see if you can take it down with all your friends. And the answer is going to be yes or no. You either prepped enough or you didn't. You were ready or you weren't. And you're going to create your own stories that way. And I think the reason why Monster Hunter World and Wilds in particular are so compelling, I think, both for newcomers and also for people who've been playing Monster Hunter for a long time, is this interactability between the different elements of the environment. The world of Monster Hunter World and the world of Monster Hunter Rise exists with or without you. Monsters will attack each other. There is a food chain. There's an order of operations in terms of like who is the big dog in this specific area of the world of Monster Hunter. And all of that stuff is playing out just kind of at random. It can happen in one hunt and not happen in another hunt. And that variability and that ecosystem, that living, breathing ecosystem, I think is what makes that game really compelling and feels really lived in and alive. It's like you're watching an episode of Planet Earth play out in a completely wild fantasy world. And you get to experience that with your friends. And the experience of being like, we're going to go hunt this monster. This is going to be exciting. We've been prepping for 35 minutes, and now it's time to go hunt this thing. And you run up to it, and you hit it once before a dragon flies down and just picks it up and removes it from the map. And it's like, hunt failed. Monster's gone. You missed your chance. That's hilarious. You're going to have a great time when that happens. And stuff like that happens constantly in Monster Hunter World. I can only assume, based on the reviews that I've read, that it happens a lot in Monster Hunter Wilds as well. And I just want more people to have that feeling. I want more people to have that experience. I want the joys that this game can bring to spread to as many people as possible, which is why I'm stoked to hear that so much of Monster Hunter Wilds is kind of opening itself up to new fans as well. I think that's a really great approach. That said, just to get some of the kind of basic stuff out of the way about Monster Hunter, if you are curious about it and you've never played it before, a lot of people compare it to Dark Souls. I think Dark Souls is a game about beating you down, but you as a player kind of overcoming that and finding yourself and your strength within through the course of these like brutal fights over and over and over again. You know, it's almost like encouragement has to come from within when you're playing any of the FromSoft Souls-like games. Monster Hunter is very similar in that its combat is very fluid, but also very strict. There are certain animations that need to play out and ways that you can cancel them, and all the weapons feel totally different, but the game is encouraging you, and the world of Monster Hunter is encouraging you to get better and improve and get better gear and you know, level up, et cetera, and take on bigger and bigger hunts. Instead of something like Dark Souls being like, hey, idiot, you thought you could fight this. Obviously you can't. And then you have to tell yourself, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, and then lose over and over and over and over again, then overcome that. Monster Hunter is like, hey, you failed this one, but get back out there, buddy. It'll be fine, and it will be fine. I think that that's a feeling that I want more people to experience, and I hope that they do. The second thing I want to shout out real quick is that the game is pretty basic at first. You're just going to go out into the world. Every game pretty much starts the same way. You kind of go out into the world, and they're like, pick up some herbs, learn how to pick up herbs, learn how to pick up berries, learn how to mix them together to make potions. I think that that understanding of the ecosystem and feeling that every single plant and object and animal kind of serves to improve yourself as a hunter, it's really great and it's really important. But once you start getting into combat, I think the question of like, what weapon do I choose? All of these weapons have different movesets. How am I supposed to learn all of this? There's then the like specific new mechanics in each of these games that makes it difficult to learn. Just start playing. Just start with the basic weapon. You know, usually they start you with a sword and shield. Just use that for a little bit and see how that feels. Play that for like a couple hours. Like, you don't really need to worry about, you know, your team composition and who has what weapon, et cetera, for a while, because the game is built to be a slow ramp upwards into the more difficult stuff. So feel totally free to just kind of stick with the basic thing, understand how to play Monster Hunter, understand, you know, when should I be dodging, when should I be blocking, when should I be attacking, when should I be retreating. You know, half of this game is about watching a monster, understanding how it moves, and trying to decide if now is the time to attack or is now the time to kind of like step back and just kind of let it, you know, rage for a while or whatever. And I think that that's a really compelling piece of the game is understanding that the world is alive and trying to react to it, and knowing when to attack and when to not. So just spend the beginning doing that. And if you're curious, let your natural curiosity lead you to trying the other weapons and stuff. There's no race to being good at Monster Hunter. It's a thing that I think people kind of need to take a couple running starts at. I've talked to a lot of people who have tried playing different Monster Hunter games, and there's always the one that clicks. And then once that one clicks, they're a fan for life. And usually the moment when it clicks is when they try a new weapon and they're like, oh, I understand how this is different from this, and because this is different from this, I'm having more fun now, and then they're going to stick with that weapon forever. I'm a longsword guy forever now, because that's what I got into when I was playing it on the Wii U. I'm never going to stop being a longsword guy, and now I'm going backwards and playing the old Monster Hunter games as well, and I'm still using a longsword because it's basically been the same the whole time. And there's something actually fresh about how consistent it's been. It's kind of like Dragon Quest. Like Dragon Quest as a franchise, one of my favorite franchises of all time as well, because every single game you pretty much know exactly what you're going to get, but it's going to be different flavors of that same thing. But the core of what you love about it is still there, and that's true of Monster Hunter. So all of that having been said, I just think that if you are a person who's ever been interested in it, you should probably get this game now. You know, this is not sponsored by Capcom or anything. I'm just speaking from experience. I think there's nothing better than being able to jump into a game like Monster Hunter with other people when everyone's excited about it, everyone's posting about it on the internet. You know, the subreddits and the forums and, you know, just social media platforms are blowing up with people saying like, can you believe this happened? Hey, I discovered this. And being a part of that community and being a part of that discovery process, I think is just consistently one of my favorite experiences in video games. And it's something that I definitely need right now, considering everything. So I'm just stoked to have another Monster Hunter game coming out right now. I'm excited for that cycle to begin again, and I hope in some way this has convinced you, if you've ever been curious about it, to jump in as well. If you've never been curious about Monster Hunter, that's fine too. There are other games. Solitaire, they got that on PCs. Minesweeper. Anyway, I'll catch you later. Bye, everybody.